Hi everyone, and welcome along to episode 5 of the Desire Dream Vision podcast. Firstly, an apology for keeping you waiting so long for episode 5. I kicked this off back in May 2020. It's now February 21. I think it's fair to say this last year was a challenge for us all, and I wasn't in the best place to give you the value I want to with this podcast. So I took a pause. It's something we should never be afraid to do. So here we are. I'm back, and the podcast is back. I hope you enjoy it. Over the next few weeks and months, I have some amazing guests lined up, and the DDV podcast is going to be bigger and better than ever. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and you'll never miss an episode. Available, of course, on all good podcasting sites and YouTube. Now, you'll find with a lot of podcasts, they have a sponsor or the podcast is brought to you in association with someone. Now, we know how tough it's been for all of you and so many people with businesses. So each week I want to showcase a different company or individual, bringing you the podcast in association with them. It's completely free. All you just need to do is reach out to me on social media. I just want to give something back and give you all a little bit of support out there. You can get in touch with me via my social media channels at Michael Kern, and of course use that hashtag of DDV Podcast. We're going to kick things off with D'Artagnan's Menswear in Chichester. I've known Matt and the team there for a very long time. They're an independent men's fashion store with some of the world's best brands. Whether you like your Stone Island, your Moose Knuckles, your Ledoux, or like me, my favourite, Kent and Kerwin, I can vouch firsthand that they're incredibly passionate about menswear, giving first-class advice and wicked service. So go check them out at d'artagnanmenswear.co.uk. Maybe it's for you or maybe a gift. You can also check them out on Instagram at D'Artagnan Men's. So make sure you give them a follow. Okay, on with the show. Now, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It means a lot to us and also helps us spread the DDV message even more. And make sure you stay tuned right to the very end as well, as we'll be announcing a little competition as well, so you can get your hands on something. So this week, I'm delighted to be joined by double gold medal Commonwealth champion, a double European champion, a world champion, and an Olympic silver medalist. Gail Emms, former international badminton player, is our guest this week. I absolutely loved this discussion I had with Gail. Her openness and raw emotion that she shares is really powerful and hard-hitting. So I thank Gail for that. I really hope you enjoy it as we talk about reaching the pinnacle and how Gail has dealt with the last 12 months. So here it is. It's episode 5 of the Desire Dream Vision podcast with Olympian and world champion badminton player Gail Emms. Gail, thanks so much for joining us on the DDV podcast. Let's just kick off with a question that I'm loving to ask at the moment, which is how are you? 2020 was a massive challenge. 2021 has started in pretty much the same vein. And I think on social media, all we see is everyone with that happy side and the happy face, but it's okay not to be okay. It's all been tough for everyone. And I just think it's important we ask this question. So how are you? How's it been?
There's like a lot of meaning in that laugh, I think. Yeah, and I think we should be asking how are you to a lot of people right now, because I think many people are struggling. And yeah, I think this is just something to say that just because you're a sports person, you've gone through quite a few, sort of highs and lows in life, doesn't mean that you're not human and struggle in lockdown. So yeah, I feel like I'm on a never-ending roller coaster with ups, downs, loop the loops. Feel like you're going to fall off the tracks, then you feel great because something's happened, you're fine. It's emotional. There you go. I feel emotional. Yeah. It's been tough.
I guess it's yeah.
Yeah, it just nothing else compares to what this is like, other than being it just intensifies everything, doesn't it? Every single tiny little thing just suddenly becomes yeah. So hopefully it's light at the end of the tunnel soon.
Let's hope so. And how have you found, obviously, like you've got kids and obviously they're going to be like homeschooled and stuff like that, which is tough. And there was an amazing letter that a head teacher put in the press and just said, look, it's okay. Like if you don't get through all this work, it's okay. Like stop being hard on yourself. How have you found that aspect, like with kids in your life?
Well, so my kid's dad is key worker police. So they qualify for key worker club. And I'm out and about doing stuff. So I'm doing a lot of filming for obviously social media and for brands. So I can't always be in the house. And I think that, so we, you know, it's been great from a personal point of view that I have not had that stress of homeschooling. And I see the difference in my kids, because it's the first initial lockdown, we had to do the homeschooling, and it was horrible. And my kids hated every single minute of it. We're parents, not teachers. Everyone was emotional. And when obviously the Key Worker Club started, the difference in them to go there to school was incredible. And you know, I'm so happy that, you know, they can do that. I feel for, obviously I've got friends who are homeschooling, and the stress, it makes me upset, you know. And I know that, oh, you know, everyone can have an opinion on stuff, but the kids are struggling massively, and the parents are, and these are the young kids. And you know, people are saying, oh, you know, it'll be fine. They're not fine. They're not. It's painful as a parent to watch how lockdown is. You know, we're old enough to kind of rationalize things and, you know, look at stats and theories and all that stuff, but kids can't. And you see the change in kids from what they were like last year to what they are now, and it is scary. And I think this has got to be the first thing that they sort out, you know, when things go back to normal, because they're not the same kids anymore.
No, 100%. It's been a tough time for everyone. I think like that question just to kick off the podcast is just so important, because these conversations are what's needed, right? And just everyone to know that, you know, if you're struggling, you're not the only one in that boat. You know, we've had it for years when we've been trying to discuss mental health, and that it's okay if you're struggling, just put your hand up. There's always someone. I have a great thing I like to say, that there's over 7.6 billion people in the world. There's always someone that's going to listen and not make a judgment. So no, you're completely right. It's important just to kind of reach out if you need to, and it's fine. It's okay if it's not going right all the time.
Exactly.
2020 then, and we're into 2021. Obviously, if you're listening to this in years down the line, this is quite a nice little historical moment in time that you're getting to listen back into. But it taught us a lot, and I've learned a lot personally in the last 12 months about myself and how I do things. Are there maybe one or two things that stick out for you on a personal level that you've learned about yourself, and just how you deal with times of adversity, or you find hope in a moment of darkness?
Yeah, and I'm getting quite emotional, actually. I think you just learn you're human. I think that's the element. I think we take on so many roles and responsibilities in our lives, you know, whether you're a parent, your wife or a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, or carer, your son, daughter, whatever. And we take on all this stuff, and it is hard, you know. It is really hard. And then it's all that appreciation of, you know, social interaction and all that stuff. You really learn what you're about and who you're about. And I think I always knew that I need people around me. I get a lot of energy from people. That's how I work. But oh my God, it just emphasized that in 2020 that it's horrible being on your own. Really is horrible. We're a society, we're social creatures, and we need people. And I think it just taught me that whatever I do, whatever happens from now on, just make sure you have that great team of people around you, because you just can't do it on your own. You think, you know, especially me, I'm like stubborn and all feisty, and I can do this, I can do that. But you can't. You have great people around you, but I mean, it's times like, you know, lockdown and everything's taken away from you. You just think, oh my God, you know what? Yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, I've learned that, and I've learned probably good things and bad things about myself, really, which, you know, it's it can be quite daunting, really.
Yeah, no, massively. And thanks for being allowing yourself to kind of open up that vulnerability, because I think that, like I've kind of mentioned to you before, that whole kind of social media thing, everyone loves to show the happy space and that happy place and that happy smile all the time. But actually, like you've so rightly pointed out, we are all human. So like, thanks for sharing that, because I think that's like really important, and I think people will find something really powerful, and that's amazing. Let's go back to some memories of happy times, shall we? Let's go talk about badminton. That'll cheer things right back up again.
Yeah.
You know, you've had an amazing career. You know, I've been lucky to know you. I think it's about a good 12 months now, and you just kind of look back on what you've achieved. It's incredible. You know, at times in your career, you were one of the best badminton players in the world. So where did that start for you? What was badminton always on the agenda since you were very young? Was it always your plan?
Was never in the plan. It was something that it was my childhood. So my mum was a footballer. So my mum played women's football for England, but she didn't teach me any football because there was still nothing for girls to play football. So for her, she got loads of abuse and you know, setbacks. The FA banned her for playing football. You know, girls weren't allowed to play football then. So she had all this incredible skill, and yet she couldn't teach me. And she saw that I was sporty, you know, from a young age. I don't want to use the word tomboy, but if you know what I mean, like I was just a really active girl. And so she just like did loads of sports with me. So we were always out doing stuff. We were like, you know, playing tennis or running around, you know, on our bikes, all that. And we lived around the corner from a badminton club, and my mum was pretty good at badminton as well. And my mum and dad used to go there, used to play with their friends. And I just got dragged along, and it just became normal. It became part of, it was a tiny club, a tin heart in the community. And that's why I'm really passionate about these small, intimate clubs, you know, where you've got that social aspect. You know, I'm all great, you know, great, we're building massive sports centres, but you lose that connection with community. And that's what they had. And you know, it was great. I used to watch my mum, I used to play against my mum, you know, I joined the junior club. I used to literally just turn up at the club just with my racket, hoping someone would open the door. And, you know, that's what sports should be. You know, there's a bar, you know, I'm not saying that everyone should drink, but it's that social, you know, people turned up and they weren't even playing. They just turned up because they could. It's somewhere they can chat with their friends. And I think that's, we are very much in danger of losing all these little sports specific clubs to, you know, to sell land for houses and stuff like this, and they don't realize the value. I think lockdown may have taught us about the value of this social community of sport, the social aspect, and how much it's not just about sport, it's not just about keeping fit, it's more than that. But that's how it started. And because I live around the corner, because I used to turn up there, it became my happy place. It became normal. And you know, it's, as you say, as the more you practice, the better you get. And having a competitive nature as well. That's literally how it started. No glamour, nothing, you know, no world-class facilities, no intense coaching. I just turned up and wanted to play.
What moment then was the moment you thought, oh, I'm pretty good at this? Because sometimes some people put that down to a coach. Some people just know it, that they've got it. What was that realization for you?
I think there was two realizations. I think once I'd beaten all the girls, and then the boys wouldn't play against me. They're like, oh, I'm not playing against her because she's a girl. And I was like, come on then. And then I started beating the boys. That was a realization. And then the second one, I think I was 7, and there was an under 11 tournament, Bedfordshire under 11s. Schools tournament, and someone said, oh no, you're too young. And I'm small, so if you imagine, so 11-year-olds to 7, and I was the smallest there by far, and I got to the final. I didn't win, but I remembered that, and I remember thinking, hang on a sec, if I'm 7 and I'm beating all these tall girls, I might actually be okay. So, and then again, sport is all about confidence, especially young people. The more you practice, the better you get, the more confident you get. And when you're good at something at a young age, again, you know, your sort of shoulders go back, head goes up, you feel good. And that, it was just, oh, I'm good at this, I'm confident, I just want to do more. So that was pretty much it. Again, no coach, no, you know, sort of not got spotted by some scout or anything. It was purely, and badminton's good like that, because if I play against someone and I beat them, I am therefore better. It's different in team sports like football or rugby, because you've got someone else's opinion on you. And that's very, very hard. And I don't always understand that process, because in my sport, I beat you, I'm better.
Nice. So you mentioned obviously then that there necessarily wasn't like a coach involved that got you to that point, but then obviously that process from getting there to being called up for England for the first time, how did that transpire?
Yeah, I think girls especially, you know, we're talking about, so this is the 80s, early 90s, women's sport, girls sport, not really seen, it was much a hobby. Girls were oh, the girls' sport was it was kind of like, oh God, I suppose we'll put a girls' team in. So I think for me, it was just really about, I loved it. And it was a way of, I guess my mum and dad had split up, and it was a way for me and my dad to bond. So my dad would enter me in competitions around the country, and we'd go off we'd end up in sort of the weekend. My friend's like, oh, I'm going to this party. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play the Yorkshire under 14s, and it was just something that I guess it was, looking back now, it's great. It was our thing. We go on this road trip and I'd play a tournament and I might do all right, might not do all right. And that's how it started. And again, with my sport, once you get better and you start climbing up that ranking list, and I was never, I was probably a good standard up until about 14, 15, like doing okay, quarterfinal stage, maybe a semi-final, but I was never winning anything. But it was watching, when I was 15, I watched the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, and badminton was in there for the first time. And I didn't watch much of the badminton, weirdly, but I remember watching the Olympics and it really impacted me, like properly got me. A teenager, again, women, sports, role models. I'd only had my mum really as a woman sports star. And then suddenly seeing these women with muscles and winning stuff. And I thought, oh, hang on a sec, maybe that I could do this, and we talk about sports people being role models, and boys get it very, very easy. And I don't want to go, oh, boys get it so easy. But they do, because they're inundated with sports stars, and sort of the football, and my boys are 10 and 7, and they know every stat on every player. They know everything, and they see it, and it's regular images. Like, they still believe they're going to be Premier League footballers, and I'm like, yeah, okay, love. But they see it and believe. Whereas for girls, what do they have? You've really got to search those channels to find stuff. And that's why with the Olympics, it's so important that we get these representation of women, sportswomen, muscles. It's good to be strong. It's good to be powerful. It's good to want to win stuff. And that was it. It was just like, you know what? I'm going to work harder now. And I just went, boom. And then again, it's got to be like the belief. It's got to be, I want to do something. It's that goal. It was like a light bulb. I just trained harder. I wanted it more. I saw something that I could then, at first it was just fun before, but now I had a purpose. And that is, again, for young people, so important to have a purpose. Girls need an emotion connection as well. They can't just do a sport just to win a trophy. They need a reason why. And suddenly I had my reason why.
No, that's awesome. I love that. Obviously, when you play badminton, when you start getting to this high level and, Olympics starts to come on the horizon, World Championships, European Championships, you're a doubles player. What kind of point did that transition happen to get into the mixed doubles and the partner doubles and things like that?
Basically, at 18, I was running around on my own, and I thought, why the hell am I doing this? And I can get someone else to do all the work, and then I do the last shot and take all the glory, basically. I'm 5'3", so I was literally like Scrappy Doo, like running around. I was like, oh my god, and I kind of it was a bit of, and my personality is quite, I'm all about speed and power, and that is doubles in badminton. Whereas singles are much more about chess and about patience, and you got to have every skill in the game. And I'm not very naturally talented or very naturally skillful, so I was literally running and not getting anywhere. So when I linked up with someone who in doubles was really, who suited my style of play, that I gave all the that power and that feistiness, and then they did all the the skill and the angles, it worked really well. And also, I'm not scared of guys, because I grew up playing against boys, and I think that's why mixed doubles really, it was like my game. A lot of girls, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Boys are stronger, they're faster, they hit it a hell of a lot harder. They are better by far. If I played a game of badminton against Nathan, for instance, Nathan Robinson, my mixed doubles partner, he would beat me 21-0. I would not get a point off him. So I'm not in any illusion that, it's an equal thing or whatsoever. However, it's really daunting to be on a court against a guy that's smashing the hell out of you, and he will aim it for you. And that's, you know, so the psychology of that, I just thought, come on, mate, let's do this. I love that aspect. And that's why me and Nathan worked really, really well together. He had that flair, the Roger Federer style natural talent, and I had that feistiness and the mental toughness. So it worked. I call him my lobster, because we literally just went, you know, I didn't have to think. It just felt natural. Off court, we pretty much hated each other, and we didn't even like each other, got nothing in common. But when you get on that court, magic happens. And you see that in sport. And that's, again, a lovely thing about sport, is that you can see these beautiful connections with people. And it is magic. It really, it feels like nothing, like anything. It's like telepathy. I just knew where he was, you know, even without even talking. I just knew. Which is, you don't get that very often.
Massive. I think it's really important as well, isn't it? It really emphasizes that point about teamwork, that, you know, on any journey, you can do it on your own, but you're not going to get as far, you know, whether it be a coach or be a partner in a sport or it be part of a team. And I think that that's really important. And it's nice to kind of hear you say that, you know, there is that transition, that you walked on court and you got on like a house on fire, but off court, you kind of didn't have anything really in common. So that's quite nice that you can, I guess it's quite easy to transfer into business. So there might be someone that, you know, you might not want to go out and hang out with and go for dinner, but actually when you put your two minds together, you can create something that's insane.
So exactly. People think you have to like everything about everyone. And we've actually got two mixed doubles pairs in the moment currently. One's married and you know, together, and one, you know, they're going out and living together, and that works for them. Brilliant. But you know, but it doesn't have to. And I think that it's about respect and a trust. And these are two words that you think that you've got to respect everything about somebody. No, you don't. You have to respect at that time, just exactly what the point about teamwork, that when I step onto that court and when you step onto that court, I respect and trust you that you're going to give absolutely everything to win this game, because I'm going to do the same for you. And when you just have that, that one common goal, that one common interest, and what common vision, nothing else matters. Whatever you decide on political matters, or I don't know, any sort of subject, it doesn't matter, because in that moment, that's what it's about.
No, it certainly is. Let's talk about the Olympics now, because you mentioned, of course, that watching that on television was a real spark moment for you. Like this is the pinnacle. And, you know, I really do hope that we get an Olympic Games this year for all those athletes that have just worked tirelessly to reach the top of their game. I know it's a bit nervy at the moment, isn't it? But for you, what was that experience like? And like right from the beginning, when all of a sudden someone says, I don't know how it works. Do you get a letter? Do you get a phone call? Like someone says, Hi, Gail, you're going to the Olympics.
Yes, so Sydney 2000 is the one I wanted to go to, and you have to be in the top 16 of the world rankings, and I finished 17th. So I'd already missed out, horrendously kicked in the stomach that I was not going to one. So I had to wait another 4 years, and that's really important to stress to people, that it's 4 year cycle. It's not just try again next week. It's 4 years of like giving up your life. So when it's fine, I've had therapy, I'm fine. So when I went to Athens 2004, I was 27, so I was just quite old in sports people terms. And you get that letter, because you have to be officially invited by the British Olympic Association, and then it's you don't have to go, you can turn it down. Which I don't know if anyone has. And then you get officially invited, and then that's it, the process starts, and suddenly it becomes, oh my God, this is real. And then you go through every emotion. You go through pride, you go through shitting yourself, you go through just excitement. It is, oh my God, realization that this is actually going to happen. So yeah, it's when you put the tracksuit on for the first time and you see that the GB flag, and you walk around the village and you just see this colors of all the flags and the different nations, and you just literally mouth goes out, oh my God, it's incredible. It's it's a dream. You realize you realize for all the times you could have given up. I think that hit me the most, was I could have given up so many times, And I mean so many times, I've lost count how many times I could have given up. Yeah, I'm here. And that, I think that hits you the hardest, like all the people that kept you going, like, come on, girl, you can still do this. Don't worry, it's just a bad day. It's okay. You are good at badminton. You know, all those people, you know, where you've just gone, and you're there. So yeah, it is very, very emotional.
Yeah, I was very lucky to be out in Rio in 2016 working, and I was presenting the hockey at the Olympics, and I did the tennis at the Paralympics, the wheelchair tennis. And, you know, you kind of watch these athletes and you can see how much it means to them. And, you know, I was very lucky to be involved and watch the Great Britain women's hockey team, you know, do so well in that competition and get to the final, win gold. But it seemed to me like once they kind of got to like the quarter semi-final stage, that there was just like, it was going to happen. It just felt like everything was in place. Your journey on court, you know, was there a moment that you thought, I've got this, we're going to do this?
Yeah, so we were an outside chance of a medal because we were ranked number 4, and we were due to meet the number 1 seeds in the semi-finals, and they'd never lost. They hadn't lost for 2 years. Kim Dong-moon and Raku Min from Korea were just, you know, they were like, they're legends. They just never, ever lost. So we were like, oh, okay. So me and Nathan won our quarterfinals against China. We're just waiting for you know, the match. And I remember being in the BOA, the Team GB headquarters. And I just remember just sitting there. I just put the badminton on, just a flick. And I saw the Koreans losing to this Danish pair. And I was like, Nathan, get here now. And he was like, what? I went, the Koreans are losing. And he was like, oh my God. I was going to say some rude words there. You know, and I just went, you know what this means? And basically the Koreans had a nightmare. They had one of those moments that we all see in the Olympics, that the favourite they froze. And the Danish pair, who Nathan and I have never ever lost to, won. And we just looked at each other, and that's our moment. We knew we were in the final. We just knew. And I think that was just, oh my God, I'm going to get a medal. Because like we've gone from a very, very outside chance, bronze medal playoff, who knows what's going to happen, to we're going to be in a gold medal final. So yeah, that was my moment.
That's incredible. I love that confidence as well. I think some people get it really confused, especially in sport. Like you have to have that belief that you can be the best, and when you have that moment, I think sometimes people like confuse that, especially when they look at like Cristiano Ronaldo and they think this arrogance, but actually it's just a real strong belief in yourself and your ability. And I think that's really important to have. And I think it's a transferable thing. I think personally for me is important in whatever you do. And it's just getting the balance right, so it doesn't come off as if you're really cocky, but you've got to have that belief. So it's nice to hear that you know you had that moment.
Yeah, it's a belief in, I probably call it trust in yourself, trust in your ability. It is, yeah, it's incredible, and it's something you can't always explain to people. You just know. I know, you know, it's really really weird, but yeah.
So something that always I find really interesting with the Olympic Games is when you get to a final, obviously you'll win or lose, and you'll walk away with a gold or a silver medal. And to pick up a gold, silver or bronze in Olympic Games is an incredible achievement. Can you like explain the emotions of you've just played in this final, you've lost, but all of a sudden you've still won a silver medal, which is an incredible achievement. If someone had offered you that before you went into the Olympics, you'd have gone, yeah, I'll take that all day long. And I guess it's a real weird mix of emotions.
Yeah, exactly. So if someone had offered it at the start, I'd have gone, oh my God, yes. However, when you're in that moment, I don't see it as winning silver. I see it as I've lost gold. And no matter what people will tell me, and I will like, no, I lost gold. I've not won a silver medal. You can't win a silver medal. You lose gold in my sport. Now, if you're in a 100-meter race, I think you do win silver. But when it comes to when it's like a tournament situation, like badminton, I don't see it like that. And we were so close to the gold medal as well. We were 3 points away from it. And I know the reason why we didn't win the gold medal was because I didn't believe that we were going to win the gold medal. And I will never watch that final ever in my life, because I can't watch it, because I know I was the weak link. So it's really hard. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sell the medal on eBay or anything like that. But I look at it and I just go, yeah. You know, I don't have any, it's not my, you know, I don't have my precious or anything like that. I just look at it and go, yeah, I got this. And it did spur me on. to the next stage, because I never ever wanted to feel like I did on that podium, where I should have been beaming happy and so proud and knowing that I was the best I could be on that, when knowing I was on that podium wanting to cry my eyes out, looking up at the Chinese who won gold and thinking, I want to be there. And so, yeah, which again is really hard to explain to people. But that's an athlete winning mentality that we have, that, I'm not happy with silver.
Yeah, do you know what, that's really interesting, because like whenever, when we first met and, you learn about people and what they do, you kind of go, oh my God, like Gail's won an Olympic silver medal. And you kind of think, like, if you were to like list achievements and, with your MBE and the gold medals you've won, but everyone kind of automatically goes silver medal, that must be like your prized possession. It's just really interesting to hear your take on it.
Yeah, and I will save it if this house is on fire. Don't that would be gone. I think that the reason, like I say, the reason that I value it is not because I want, as people call it, you want a silver medal. I value it because I vowed never to feel like that again, and it spurred me on to the next level. And if I hadn't have felt like that, we wouldn't have won all the golds after it. And it just, when I was on the Olympic final, I'll admit this, I felt like, of all the four of us, it felt a bit like an imposter syndrome. Everyone else had been in a final before. I was the only one who hadn't. I felt a bit lucky to be there. I felt a bit, I'm so lucky to be here. I'm so lucky to be partnered with Nathan. Oh gosh, just hope I do okay. That kind of attitude. So I vowed that I will never, ever feel below someone, my partner, or I'll never feel below my opponents. I deserve to be on that court. I deserve to be there. And I think that mindset, I was a different person. If I'd have played that final, even 2-3 months later, we'd have kicked their asses completely. And it was me. So yeah, it taught me so much that I'll never feel honoured to be on a court or, lucky to be here. I'm like, no, I deserve to be here.
That's so important. I've totally had that before, and I think it's something that a lot of people have, isn't it? Especially like if you've worked so hard for something and then you're there. I guess it's difficult, but it's nice that you use that to power you on, and what a way to power you on with the gold medals that you've won with Commonwealth Games and European Championship, World Championships. At that point of your career, you were one of the best badminton players in the world. Did you appreciate that you were at the time, after that disappointment, like you said, of the Olympics and that imposter syndrome, that you've now got there, you've gone and won that gold multiple times, not just won it once, you've got double gold Commonwealth Games like medals, and the same with the European Championships, so like, did you appreciate how good you were at the time?
No, you never do. I think it's that relentless pursuit of getting better that it drives you, and it can also drive you crazy. Because once you're at the top, people want to beat you, so you can't rest. There's never a moment, and I think that's it's a good point when you talk like that. I think, God, when did I appreciate it? When did I have that moment to stop and go, wow? In the sport high pressure environment, and probably a lot in business as well, everything is about right, next one, everything's about improving, and right, next goal, and yet there was no. And it's not good for you to keep that relentless high pressure, 100% all the time. I wish there'd been moments, and a lot more of this, instead of sports psychology to how to win and how to get the next thing, was actually sports psychology of just stopping, smiling would have been nice, and that appreciation, gratitude, and just gone, well done, Gail, just pat yourself on the back, you're doing great, anything like that. There's just nothing like that in sport. Well, it wasn't then. I think it is changing. So it is this constant, how can it get better? Right, you're number one, but they're coming up. Okay, so how are we going to beat them? Right, you've got to get better at this, better at that, better at that, better at that. So yeah, you're on this continuous treadmill. So no, I didn't appreciate it, and I wish and if one thing that we can help sports people, because I think it would help their transition afterwards, is learning that self-awareness, reflection, appreciation, all those, the soft skills, we probably call them in business, you know, that coaching and mentoring style, not necessarily about winning.
No, completely. I take time out maybe 3-4 times a year. Every time I do stuff, I put it in a box and literally just, I'll look back through it. And I look through my career and I've done some awesome stuff, but a thing that I really struggle with, and more so recently as well, when you have that more time to think, is that I feel like personally I've never got to the top of the mountain. I've got like so close to giving everything my all. Whenever I work for someone, I like go all in. And I did 5 years doing the Premier League, and I went from doing pitch side reporting to my own studio show in a year, and then in year 2 I covered the main like our match of the day style show and got great feedback. And it got to like the end of the 5th year and I'm thinking, right, I'm nearly there now. I'm like, I'm going to get one of the regular slots. I'm going to actually host one of the main shows. And then the rug got pulled and I didn't get offered a new contract. And then it just happened last year at TalkSport. You give your all for an absolute year and then your contract doesn't get renewed and there's no explanation. And you think, man, like, why am I doing this? Like, it's so frustrating. And then actually you take a moment and go, hang on a minute, I've like presented at an FA Cup final, I've been to an Olympic Games, I've like done some amazing things. And it's so tough, isn't it, when you are just so focused and laser focused on something that, you know, I think it's really important. And a technique I use is I just look through stuff every kind of 2 or 3 months and go, look, you're doing pretty well, like keep going, you'll get there. And I think that's the thing. Time is a big part of like the DDV philosophy, is that everyone wants everything yesterday, and especially with social media, everything is instant gratification. And I think appreciating that journey is really important. So it's nice to hear, you know, the best badminton player in the world realize at the time that they didn't realize they were just so good and didn't appreciate it.
Not at all, no. And it's something that it's frustrating, isn't it, sometimes, but you know, you learn, that's it. And you can all you can do is pass on advice to the next people, and hopefully that they, you know, sort of listen a little bit and maybe do some stuff with it. Yeah,
the joy of hindsight. I always now, and I've done it since my first studio show, is at the end of every show I'll kind of like thank everyone that's been part of it, but I always just kind of just take a moment. And I think one of the most precious moments is at a football stadium or a sporting arena once a big moment's finished. I remember standing on the tennis court at the wheelchair tennis at the Paralympics just after the gold medal final, and there was just this amazing atmosphere. Like it was beautiful, but it was just such a moment to like appreciate and relish. And the same with the Hockey World Cup final in London a few years back. There was just this weird, amazing feeling. It was so good, but that appreciation is so key. Talking about appreciation, there obviously comes a moment in any athlete's career and in everyone's lives where you realize that you've kind of reached a certain point, and from here the journey is coming to an end. You know, that there is that natural transition on any kind of journey. What moment was there for you that you realized that there was going to be one last Olympic Games and Beijing was potentially, that was going to be it, and that was time to call it?
So it was after the World Championships. So I was 29, and I remember basically Nathan and I had won pretty much everything. So we'd won our equivalent of Wimbledon, we'd won Europeans, Commonwealth, Worlds, and all this. So everything had been ticked off. And then I remember being in the sports hall, and it was an okay training session. And I remember sort of sitting down, and I just went, this is just shit. And I just sat there and thought, there must be more to life than hitting a shuttle over a net. And I just had one of those moments. We all have them. We all have these and I just thought, 29, I've got one more Olympics in me, because physically, I'm very naturally fit, very naturally strong. So the physical stuff, I didn't have any injuries really. So I was very lucky in that sense, but mentally I was just going. I could feel myself not enjoying it. It was become more of a job. It became more of a just get through it. I just felt like I was missing out on life, and I wanted to know that I was more than a badminton player. You know, it gets to a point where like, Gail Emms badminton player, Gail Emms badminton player, Gail Emms badminton player, and I just thought, I want to know what I can do. So I turned around to my coach and just went, that's it, 2 years, I'm done, I'm out of here. Olympics, all or nothing. Beijing, and then I'm done. And he said he didn't believe me. He just thought I was just saying it. It's just one of those bad moments. But I knew, I was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. Just, there has to be more to life. And yeah, that's when I made that decision. And those last 2 years were tough, so tough. You just forget to smile, like say, forget that appreciation, and know everyone was so focused on this gold medal for Beijing as well. You know, people come up, I'll be in the training center and people come up to me and go, make sure you win that medal, otherwise we won't have this, I'll lose my job. You're like, oh, thanks, cheers for that, great. And you know, it became an obsession. And this is where I don't necessarily agree with how, you know, the UK Sport England structure is with sport in this country. I don't think we do it right, because this is what you produce this environment where it matters about funding for a sport on whether someone gets a medal. And that, you know, I had pressure from every single person in the whole of Badminton England, whole of GB Badminton, was just literally looking at me going, you better win a medal. All right, okay. Oh, you know, because otherwise I'll lose my house, lose my job. Like, yeah, right, fine, thanks. It shouldn't be this. It shouldn't have been that way. And that's what it became. And it's not right. It really, really isn't right. Sport should be a privilege and honor. You should feel proud. You should feel like it's, you know, you're performing as a result of all your training, all that hard work and teamwork, and all the fundamentals, all the real basics, and the real passion that we love about sport was out the window. It became about money, funding, and yeah, a pursuit or something. And that's, yeah, it's not right.
And how did that affect like your mental state? Because I think there's something that's really important. It's amazing so many people are talking about that now, and it's making it the norm to say you're not okay. You know, that pressure must have got away from you because you couldn't escape it.
No, can't. My teeth are so ground down because every night I just grind my teeth. It affects your family, your relationships, it affects your relationship, like personal relationships. You know, it got to the point I couldn't even have the word badminton mentioned around me. You know, I couldn't cope with it. You know, or I go and see a group of friends, and you know, for a meal or something, they're like, "Oh, I want to talk about badminton." I don't want to talk about it. I just can't. I just need to park it somewhere. You're not happy, and you're supposed to be living the dream. And again, this is really hard when you athletes, especially when they talk about mental health in sport, and they talk about how, you know, it's not a nice environment, and this relentless of pressure and everything, and how you're mentally just not in a good place. But people go, yeah, but you're living the dream. You're doing sport for a living. You know, what you got to moan about? And that's what plays in your mind. You think, I can't moan because I'm doing sport, it's my job. But yeah, it's every day as an athlete you wake up with this fear, and it is, you wake up and you start here, fear, and it's, I'm not good enough, I'm going to get dropped, I'm going to screw up, I'm going to let people down, I'm going to do this, and you constantly, that's what you wake up. That's how you sleep at night. You sleep at, well, your dreams are you're playing a sport and you lose over and over again. It's your whole consciousness playing that devil's advocate with you, you know. And so you have to, every day you have to build that trust up. I'm okay, I can play badminton, I'm all right. Woo. And it's tiring, and you have that you can't escape it, because you know, you can't go to the pub and just sort of like have a massive session. You know, you can't do that. You're everything you live and breathe is that sport. So there's no escape. And even, you know, go out somewhere, someone will go, oh, you know, how's it going? Oh, but you're gonna win gold in the Olympics. You can't escape it. So yeah.
So I'm guessing that maybe tarnished the end of the career as the professional full-time badminton athlete. Would you say that would be fair to say?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I always say that Nathan and I came fifth in Beijing, so we beat the gold medal favourites and we lost the eventual winners. So I knew there was an all or nothing. I wouldn't have been happy with bronze, I wouldn't have been happy with silver. I knew it was gold or nothing. And the fact we lost the winners, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better, because, you know, we could, I honestly can say I couldn't have done any more. We really couldn't. We were the best we could be, and it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to get that gold medal. And it was such a relief to kind of say that. You know, people were like, oh, you're not happy, you know, you didn't win, oh, you didn't get that gold, Olympic gold, the only thing missing. And I'm like, well, you know what, I wasn't obviously meant to win that gold medal, because there were people better. And all I know is that I couldn't have done any more. I really, really couldn't. So I think that's why I'm not too bitter, or, you know, I'm not too upset about the Beijing experience. I was quite happy to go, you know what, in a way, I was kind of sickly glad it was over, you know. And that's horrible to say, because the difference between the Olympics in Athens and the Olympics at Beijing was, you know, was complete, total different attitude, totally different environment. So in a way, I was like, you know what, I did everything I could. It's over. Right, next thing. Let's move on. Yeah.
Amazing. Let's talk about the next thing, your journey post badminton. You know, you're doing some pretty cool stuff right now. But just first, I want to touch on how much did that final 2 years have an impact when you stopped? You mentioned like a little bit of relief there, but obviously when you're constantly having to deal with that mental pressure, did that have an effect on you once? Because I guess there's a realization for any athlete, even if they kind of have that relief that they're finished, there is that little bit of something that goes missing, because you haven't got that daily routine. You haven't got those relationships of those people that you've said hello to every single day for the last, 10, 15 years that you've been doing it. How did that affect you personally, those first 2, 3, 4, 5 months, years after stopping?
Yeah, no one teaches you how to transition, and people look at you as if, why do you need to transition? You basically are not doing that, now you're going to something else. But basically you have to grieve. I get quite upset about this, sorry. So you have to grieve, because you're not that person anymore. And it's something, like I say, it's your life, it's your heart, and you're doing something that no one else experiences. That adrenaline, it's your purpose, it's been your dream, and you've reached that. So you've got this massive high from when you first retire, because you're like, woo, let's have a glass of wine, let's eat some chocolate, let's have a burger. So you have that high and that release, and then suddenly it's the oh crap moment. Oh crap, who am I don't know what I can do. And then no one helps you, because no one wants you. So you literally just dip and you dip and you dip, and you have to put on the brave face, the social media face, or whatever we like to call it, and you just don't know what to do. And the routine, and it's more for me, it wasn't about the routine, it was about the people. Suddenly I was on my own, and I was trying to write a CV and trying to get a job, and I didn't even know what to put on my CV. So played a bit of badminton. And I'm 31 years old, 32 years old, and my CV says I played badminton. And I remember applying for jobs, and I'm back to an 18-year-old. So mentally, you're so used to being the best, and suddenly you're right down at the bottom. Now, don't worry, I love a challenge and all that, but when you realize how low down the bottom you are, that's not good mentally either. So it's just rubbish. And I remember days just sat on the sofa, just like going, I don't know what to do with myself. I really don't know what to do. And it hits everyone at different times. So, I know that they know it's an important subject to talk about with athletes, but it hits everyone differently. And that's why it's such a hard thing to kind of plan for. Because for me, it hit me about, that curve probably about 9-10 months later. Then it hit me again a few years later. So whose problem am I? What do you do with me? Who's going to fund someone to help me? You're not anyone's. Literally, the governing body is like, yeah, thank you very much. Right, off you go. The next one comes in. You're a conveyor belt of the products, basically. You see it in clubs. Clubs are a little bit better because they've got a club system and they've got a connection. So I think football, rugby and cricket, hockey as well, they have that club community, which is better. Olympic sports don't have that. They don't have that club community as much. So you just feel, you feel just really alone.
Yeah, I bet. I have a big thing that, about failure and negativity and low points, because I'm a big believer we fail every day. And I think people look on failure as a negative thing, but actually I think it's really important, because when you learn to walk, you fall over and you get up again. Now that infant you doesn't just fall over and go, do you know what? Stuff this. I'm just gonna lay on my back for the next kind of 60 years. Just kind of bring me water, bring me some milk and some cookies and stuff. We have this in-ground thing where we get up again. And if it takes us a month, if it takes us 6 months, it takes us years, we all have our own process, but we will get up again. And it's important to appreciate that those negatives make you stronger. How did you do it? And what, I guess that when you get out of that situation, it teaches you a real important life lesson that you can take forward. So how do you personally deal with negativity? And I guess, how did you get out of that situation that you just talk so, emotionally and so passionately about?
I don't think I properly got out. I don't think I got out of it properly. And again, that's probably one of the biggest regrets, that I should have had probably more counselling therapy in that stage. I ended up having my children, which was something I had a goal to be a mum. Not that saying that that's what you should do, go out and get pregnant. But
a bit difficult for me.
Yeah, exactly. It gave me some sort of purpose. However, I was only putting off what I should have sorted out, if that makes sense. So in that transition period of, those 9-10 months before it happens, I should have been, in a much better place before for children. So actually, the reason why I relapsed, and I call it a relapse, is because I was just, I'd only sort of compartmentalize those emotions and sort of just, now I've got children. That was the only difference. So and I still relapse, and I still what gets me through it, what gets me out, I guess stubbornness. I am a hard worker. I really do. I believe in hard work. Nothing's going to be easy. I wish it would be sometimes. But I guess I just don't believe in giving up. I don't know, stubbornness and I just pride that, what, I'm a fighter, I can do this, and I've just learned to ride that roller coaster, just try and enjoy the ups and downs and loop the loops and stuff, and just know it's part of the process. Although sometimes it is really, really hard, I just know that there will be an up, that because that is life. There will be ups, downs, loops and whatever. So that's it. I think there's no other way of trying to say, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow's another day.
100%. Just before we move on to like our final three, which is almost like a quick fire questions at the end. Like up to now, you're doing some great stuff. Obviously, you've got an awesome quiz book out at the moment, which we work together on, which is available on Amazon if anyone wants a copy. But you've done some great stuff like post that badminton career, and I think it's important like to highlight that and remember that you've got a book out and you do some amazing kind of fitness stuff, and just kind of give us a little bit of an insight to Gail's everyday life, now, because I think it seems
the randomness.
Seems like you're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, there is. And the great thing with me is that I have got some random exciting stuff going on. So they are a little bit sporadic and, oh my God, this and oh my God, that. But that is me. I'm a bouncy ball of like ideas and hopefully positivity and motivation. So the quiz book was just, wow, first lockdown, obviously it was horrendous, and I just started off as a bit of a joke with Keith Gillespie, obviously, and did it on Twitter, just sort of a few questions out there, and it just started into something, and before I knew it, I had over 1,000 questions that I was putting out on Twitter every day at 8:00. People were like, and I'm getting all these comments. So it's amazing what can come out of what was I was feeling rubbish, but what came out of it was actually something amazing. And the fact that we've got a book out is like, woo, it's brilliant. But I can't wait to do my business coaching and my business awards and event hosting, all that sort of stuff. That's what I love. I love being sort of on stage and I don't know, and just being around people, that kind of stuff, corporate hospitality, sporting events, talking people through that emotion of what it's like to be a sports person. So yeah, I do those, and I am going to push the fitness a little bit more this year. I've got a few little things potentially happening. Just going to build up really slowly, because I think the fitness market is very saturated. So I've just got to take it slowly and see what works. You know, I'm 43 and I'm still kind of doing all right in the gym and everything like that. So I guess if I can inspire some people to keep fit, and yeah, then that's a good thing.
Amazing. Right, the final three.
Okay.
Peak and pit, highlight and low light of your career, but they're moments you wouldn't change.
Peak of my career, definitely, and people won't know about this, is winning the China Open. So we were the only British, I don't think any other British pairs won the China Open. And to go and win in China is ridiculous. It's like every biased line judge, referee, umpire, crowd. It's hilarious. You actually look back, you just think, how the hell did we win that? That for me was the highlight, because it was just so tough, and yet we did it. Low point was probably, I think a low point was post-Olympics. Nathan and I had been basically on the drinking circuit and party circuit celebrating the medal. And we had to do this TV thing, and they would showcase one of our matches, and they followed us to this tournament, and we basically lost to a 16-year-old. And I think that was that and they looked at us in pure disgust, and that we just ruined their TV show. And I think that was the low point. So I just thought, yeah, you can't do this. And it was a real, come on, kick up the arse situation. So yeah, pride was really dented there. And yeah, taught me a lot as well. So I think that kind of hurt a lot there.
Nice. One of the key Desire, Dream, Vision principles is inspiration. What inspires you, and what kind of gives you that light at the end of the tunnel?
What inspires me is people, you know. I think there's nothing else that I just, you know, the fact that people, I you know, there are people who are, gosh, how do I do it? People inspire people. That's it. You know, what people go through every day just to get through, or the people that help other people. That is just it. There's nothing else. You can't have a society, or you can't have a successful business just with nothing. It is people. And I get so much from, you know, sort of learning from other people, talking with other people, listening. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. And the
Sorry,
final question. No, I like that. I think that's a real nice takeaway, that, you know, what inspires you, people inspire people, because, you know, I'm massively into it at the moment. I'm like full on Tony Robbins at the moment. And there's this new app called Clubhouse, and I'm literally just living on it, and just, or I'm in a different seminar of just hearing what people are doing. And I think that's such a nice line, that people inspire people. I love that. And your key to success, I think obviously there's plenty of them, but is there kind of one little key, one little tip that if you could have imparted to yourself when you were younger, or if someone says, Gail, you know, I want to do this, like, what would be the one tip that you would give them if you had to pick one?
Totally. So I would say, and I say this to everyone, whether you're a primary school kid, an 18-year-old, sports scholar, or even a CEO, and I'll always say this, is that you can only be the best you. You cannot be like anyone else. Don't bother comparing yourself to anyone else. There's just no point. In sport, you get compared to, oh, you're the next so-and-so, next so-and-so, or you're not good at this, or you're not good at that. You literally get your strengths and weaknesses thrown at you constantly. And you just want to, and what I just wanted to shout, if I could go back and go, I can only be me. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths. All right. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to goddamn go and do my best. And that is so important, that we are picked out for our faults so many times. And like saying on social media, you compare your lives to somebody else, or compare your body to somebody else, or compare your salary, or whatever it is. I can't do anything about it. Just be you, be the best you every day. And that's all you can do. And that's it. There's nothing else to it.
Amazing. Gail, I think that's like the perfect place to end on. Thank you so much for being so open and so honest. And, I think, this is going to be a great podcast and a great listen for people, because I think, that raw emotion you showed was amazing. So thank you so much for kind of opening up and sharing.
It's all right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. We are back next week, where our guest will be the 2009 X Factor winner, Joe McElderry. His story is just as incredible, so don't miss it. We'll find out what it was like to perform with George Michael with just one rehearsal on live TV, plus taking control of his career. That is episode 6 coming next week. Thanks again to Gail. I hope you agree her honesty and openness was incredible. I certainly took a lot away from it. Gail's Ultimate Pub Sports Quiz is available on Amazon, and you can follow her on social media. Just go and follow at Gail Emms. Now, I mentioned a little competition right at the very top, and now you'll see on my social media channels the new DDV woolly hats. It's all I'm wearing at the moment because my hair's an absolute mess. You can't buy these, so if you want to get one and you want to win one, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel, take a screenshot, post it on social media, and tag me in at Michael Kern. Make sure you use the hashtag DDV Podcast as well, and each week I will pick a winner and you'll get one of those woolly hats. Now, don't forget also to check out D'Artagnan's menswear. Massive thank you to you for listening, and I will see you next time.